Hi there, CJ Jenkins from Century 21 Cornerstone in Auburn, California at Lake of the Pines. Thank you so much for joining us today at Lake of the Pines Living Facebook. Well, today is a special day. It is Earth Day 2021. So happy Earth Day to you. And each Earth Day has a different theme. And the theme this Earth Day is to restore the earth. Restore our earth is the theme for this particular Earth Day. So I thought it would only be fitting to be in my backyard and also to be in the garden, which we'll take a quick little garden tour in a little bit, and while we're talking about Earth Day. Now, Lake of the Pines, as many of you know, is right in the middle of Auburn and Grass Valley. We're about 12 minutes from downtown Auburn and 15 minutes from downtown Grass Valley. We're located in the Sierra foothills, and we're a gated community of 2,000 lots. And within those 2,000 lots, we have about 6,000 people living at Lake of the Pines. We are a mixed community of 50% working families and 50% retirees. So we have a nice mixture of age groups here. You can be retired here and get access to the pool in the daytime, and then in the afternoon the kids can get home from school and they have open swim time. So we really do work together, all these different age groups, to really exist happily with each other in sharing our facilities that we have. So let's go back to Earth Day. And what does Earth Day mean to you? Everybody has a different take on it, but let's step back to the history of Earth Day. In 1970, we had the first Earth Day ever, and there were about 10,000 public schools that celebrated April 22nd in 1970. In fact, my high school was one of those schools. And I was a secretary of a new group called the Sierra Club, and it was a high school Sierra Club. We were the second certified high school Sierra Club. In fact, we had 125 members of our school that paid $5. Now, $5 was a lot of money in 1970. You could get a pair of 501 jeans then, and that was a lot of money, $5 to be a member per year. So I was the secretary, and we heard about Earth Day happening, and about January, the executive committee, myself included, decided to approach the principal. And we approached our principal and said, we want to have a special day on Earth Day. We want to give Earth conscious type of classes, looked at green features, ways that we could learn different things about taking care of the earth and be able to expose our classmates to those courses. And at first the principal said, oh no, we can't possibly do this. But we actually hand programmed 1,700 students in 2 classes. And the classes that we had, you got to pick your first, second, and third choice. Some of them were planting, how to plant a tree. We did some tree planting. We had kayaking in the school pool. We had classes on earthworms. We had classes on compost and the value of composting. Also recycling and the importance of recycling and what can be recycled. We had classes on the San Francisco Bay and the ecosystem there. We had scientists come and speak to us. We even had some members from Standard Oil, from the tree growing companies that are lumber suppliers. We had a panel discussions. It was a very exciting day. So when I started this project in January, I have to tell you, my parents had never heard about Earth Day in San Bruno, California in 1970, and they thought I was just a little bit, I don't know, extreme. And why would you spend all of this time for this one day? So what came from the results of Earth Day for us as the Sierra Club is it really bonded us together as an active group of students who care about the future our future and our children's future. And it also allowed us to work together for other ventures. For example, the Sierra Club, as a result of working together on Earth Day in 1970, we adopted different beaches in Pacifica right outside of where we were located in San Bruno. And we would do a beach a day, a weekend day. And we would bring the garbage bags there. We'd get donations for food from community businesses. And we got the dumpsters donated to us. And we would hit a beach. And we would work all day cleaning up the beach. And that was a really fulfilling thing for us to do and a way for people to grow together. What was interesting about Sierra Club is that it broke a lot of the cliques that happen in a high school. So you could have a cheerleader, you could have somebody who never went to football games, you could have somebody from the chess club, somebody from the clothing, ladies, girls, home ec group. You could have somebody from one of the different sports, and they all met together in a common cause to clean up a beach. So that was a lot of fun with Earth Day. Now there's lots of things that came out of Earth Day too. In our government, we had the Clean Air Act, we had the Clean Water Act, we had an organization that got developed, the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, also Endangered Species Acts, and also a consciousness of what's happening with our water and our oceans. So these are the outcomes that have come from the first ever Earth Day. So we are still celebrating Earth Day in, I believe, how many countries? 192 countries actually celebrate Earth Day. And they call it something different. They call it the International Mother Earth Day. But in America, we call it Earth Day. But we were the ones who started this particular celebration and looking at us as taking care of Mother Earth. So let's talk about the earth, because we are right here in a garden area of my home, and Bob is working on our garden. So Bob, come and tell us what's happening in our garden, and we'll come back to Earth Day in just a few moments.
Let's see. One person had a comment that they were having trouble hearing, so I'm asking everybody, you want to ask them if they
So I was just wondering if you guys had trouble hearing us today, because we are outside. There is a little bit of wind happening. So if you can get back to us and let us know if you're having some trouble with the volume, that would be most helpful. Okay, we're going to proceed. Bob, what's happening in the garden today?
Well, I just finished planting a row of sunflowers, which is one of our trademarks, is something we do every year in the garden. And I'm just getting ready to stake it to identify it. A lot of people don't know that when you are getting seeds from your envelopes, that you cut the bottom of the envelope. You don't cut the top of the envelope, which may be counterintuitive, but you want to cut the bottom so that you can take your little stick and maybe put it in there in the bottom like that. Maybe give it a staple or
That's
two.
cool.
Or two.
I never knew that.
You can come and these sunflowers are on this back row right here. It's something we do every year. And now I know this is a new kind for us. It's called vanilla ice, and they're kind of pale sunflowers, not the really stuff that we have going on down below, because we have some of those red-faced sunflowers as well. And then I got some others that I found out only grow 1 or 2 foot tall. They're bush sunflowers, so I haven't figured out where I'm going to put those yet. They may be targets of opportunity, like one here and one there, and do it symmetrically and have some fun. Anyway, this is the main garden pit right here. Just put a yard of fresh garden soil on it. That stuff was so hot it had to sit here for a couple of weeks because the manure in it was still off exotherming. Is that right? Exotherming. And so
what are you growing in here?
So on each of these baskets here, there's 7 of them. There are 4 bush beans, green beans around each one. So the idea is that they'll come up, I'll be able to train them inside the basket, and it'll be relatively easy to go around and find them. If you've grown beans before, sometimes they're all down in the bottom of the ground and everywhere, and they're hard to get to.
So they're easier to pick that way when they're
Yes.
up higher?
Yeah, I think they're going to grow better too. So this is my, rather than planting them in a row. So that's what those are.
That's what they're going to look like.
Yeah.
Perfect, just like those, all
Well, they will be.
symmetrical.
They will be.
No spots on them whatsoever.
So come on down. Over here, of course, this is a tomato. This is just a Better Boy, which is just your basic standard tomato. But they taste fine. Homegrown, they taste fine. They don't taste like southern tomatoes, folks, let me just tell you. Because tomatoes and like melons take on the character of the soil. And our western soil just does not grow the best tomatoes. So that, okay.
Yep. One time we grew melons, and they were beautiful, and we had them all here, and we had sand underneath them, and we were just waiting for them to ripen. And then the skunks got into our garden and ate half a melon, and every melon was destroyed by those, well, skunks or raccoons, we're not sure.
Yeah.
So,
we
no
got
more
out of the melon
melons.
business. We just said, no, we're not going to fight it. We're not going to turn this into a prison. Then we got cucumbers. This is an English cucumber.
We like our English cucumbers.
The nice thing about this placement, besides we've done it here for years and we know that they grow well in this position, is that they're very easy to train up on like a trellis here, so that most of the cucumbers are right in front of you. Then we got another tomato down here. This is a black cherry tomato. Just put that in. Just put another cucumber in as well. Here, Spartan Valor cucumber. Down here on the bottom, we have a couple of more tomatoes. There's a cherry tomato here, and then there's a tomato I've never grown, but I could not resist the name of Sugar Lump. So
And these
that's a
are
Sugar Lump tomato.
these are heirlooms.
Yeah, those are heirloom. Then
Very
right,
good.
Right here in this one, this is the potato patch, and we had way too many potatoes last year, so I decided to go down with this, and we're going to do it a different way too. We're going to get organic potatoes from the grocery store and use those as the seed potatoes rather than buying. So we won't have the Idahos or the red or the yellow Yukon and so on and so forth. We'll have basic potatoes in here.
So what do you mean about getting them from the store? Are you gonna cut them and let them sprout?
Yeah. Well, I'll cut them around and try to make sure they have one really good eye or a couple of mediocre eyes in each piece. Sometimes if you get small ones, you can plant the whole potato. But if you cut it, you want to let it air for a day or two. So that it forms a skin along the cut, and everyone told me that's how you do potatoes before you put them on the ground. Keeps them from rotting before they get a chance
So do they have to
sprout.
have a shoot in order to plant them?
No,
Okay.
but they have to have some eyes in order to plant them. So this will be potatoes, and this is the one I'm working on right now.
Oh, you have mesh over here.
Yeah, I'm going to try this one a little bit different this year, which it's a real deep bed. Let me get in here and get this thing off of here.
Why do you have the mesh?
I have the mesh on a lot of them when I'm growing from seed, and I don't want the bugs or the birds or the squirrels or any of the other critters that live around here to come and nip them off at ground level. So I have that. But what I'm going to do this time with the lettuce that goes in here is I'll do 4 rows. I'll alternate. I've got some butter crunch lettuce in a row and some mixed salad greens in a row, and then I'll leave the other 2 rows unplanted for maybe 3 weeks or 4 weeks, and then I'll plant the same things again.
Oh,
here.
so you're going to...
So succession planting is what I'm going to do with that, and I've reserved enough seed back to do 3 succession plantings, and I'll sort of alternate the row so I'm not using this exact same piece of ground for each row.
So the nutrients will be different.
Yeah, so it's balanced out a little bit. Like I say, though, I brought in a lot of new soil here. Plus, I got a bunch of compost from our compost heap and worked it in. So nutrients should not be much of a problem. I'll hit them mid-growth with a liquid of some kind
Okay.
to do it. So that's
So would you consider this an organic garden?
I'd give us a B.
For organic?
Yeah, because when I come back with the liquid fertilizer that I use, that may not be totally organic.
Okay.
To tell you the truth, but no, I don't use pesticides because you can see how clean it is. Just got to stay on top of it. Stay on top of it, and I tarp it during the winter so it doesn't get a bunch of weeds growing in the winter
Okay.
too.
Very good, Bob.
Well, thank you.
Well, we'll come back here when we've got some green stuff coming up from the brown stuff in a little while, and that will be fun to see the sunflowers. Yep. The fun thing about the sunflowers, we have a lot of sun coming this way, so you would think that the sunflowers would face this way, but no, no, no. Our sunflowers always turn and face our neighbor's yard. They're on their deck. There's 10-foot tall sunflower plants facing them and smiling at them every summer, and our neighbors are very grateful for that. So what are some of the things for Earth Day that a group of school kids could do, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, or your church group, or your baseball team, that you could do together to contribute to the earth? And one of the very simple things that could be considered, it could be this weekend, we have beautiful weather in store, is to clean up a park. Now here at Lake of the Pines, our parks are very clean because the association does tend the parks. And the park bathrooms are clean, the garbage is emptied regularly, people are using their pooper bags, and the parks you can run barefooted in the grass, and the sandy beach is taken care of. But if it was a public park and you would like to do some cleaning around the trailheads, things like that, that would be definitely a very easy opportunity to teach your young people to take care of the earth and to value what we have around us. So after 1971, in 1970, the first Earth Day, in 1971, in January, there was an oil spill, and this oil spill happened in San Francisco Bay. 2 standard oil tankers collided with each other. Might have been fog, because there is a lot of fog in the bay, but I don't know the exact reason why it happened. And there were gallons upon gallons and gallons of oil that spilled into the bay. Now the bay has 9 different tributaries of sorts, or rivers that come into the bay, and the bay is has a magnitude of just multiple currents, and it also it sweeps out of the bay out to the coastline. So north of San Francisco Bay and Marin, and south of San Francisco Bay, where I grew up in San Bruno, and Pacifica, San Mateo, all of those beaches got big globs of crude oil. So we went to our principal again, and now that I reflect back onto that, he was pretty progressive and pretty open to listening to students' needs. And the Sierra Club came back and said, can we go and work and volunteer on the beaches for the oil spill and still get credit for our classes? We needed credit for our classes, not only for our grades. I happened to be a senior in high school, and we needed those credits for college. So we worked out an agreement. So if I was missing history class, I got a pal, a study buddy, to cover for me for that one day that I was at the beach. And then she would be then I would be in the class, and that following day she would go to the beach. So we spent many, many days going to the beaches to help rake up the crude oil. One of the things that we used was, they were big bales of hay, and the hay was put out into the surf, and the oil would attach to the hay, and we could be able to pick it up or rake it up. There were people donating donuts, donating sandwiches. There was a fire department there. There were extra clothes to put you in because you got wet and oily. And I remember driving my mother's nice white interior car there. And let's just say when I got home, there was a lot of other stuff in the interior of her car because we were really inundated in some of the oil. The sad thing about it is that the birds that they did rescue, only about 800 of the thousands and thousands of birds actually survived, because when the oil got into their feathers, they have their own natural oil, and that, when it was cleaned, was taken off of them, and very few of those birds in the special bird rescue survived. So it was, again, an act of people taking responsibility for the earth and caring for it. And I feel very lucky that I had the opportunity to go work the oil spill, in a sense, as a young senior in high school. So that was in January or February. And then again, the second Earth Day was in 1971, April 22nd. And we had much more efficient, 1,700 students being booked in all of these classes. We had a very rich program for them to select from whatever courses they were interested in. And hopefully they could take away from those experiences into their life. And these were life skills that change our habits in how we use our environment, how we take care of it, how we try and get by with using cloth bags instead of paper goods, and how we're trying to work together to make our Mother Earth the best that it can be, and how to protect it. So I want to thank you today for being with us for our Earth Day show here at Lake of the Pines. I'm CJ Jenkins, and if you have any questions about real estate in the Sierra foothills, whether it's Auburn, Loomis, Penryn, Grass Valley, Lake of the Pines, Colfax, Weimar, Nevada City, whether you have a question in any of those areas, please give me a call. My number is 530-906-4715. Call CJ, and I'd be happy to answer any of the questions that you have about our community. And I thank you so much for joining us today. So bye-bye from Lake of the Pines Living Facebook.